In mind, Chris.
How about this setting, though? Keener Plaza, absolutely beautiful. The old courthouse back there, and, of course, the arch behind that. And, Jerry, you know what that represents.
Look at the size of this arch, Lynn. Imagine the size of the cheeseburger you get when you drive under there.
Hey, that's a memorial to our third president, who happened to be a great architect, Thomas Jefferson.
He was. He did my house, Monticello.
He hadn't finished it yet either. Hey, I'm going to talk about singing. You know, prior to this past week, the Rams were hitting all the high notes, but when they left Tennessee, they were singing the blues. But this guy here is smiling.
Hey, why not? As we end this century, we head into the new millennium. What could be better than to preserve the Miami Dolphins' undefeated record?
As if you needed another excuse to drink champagne is what I say. But congratulations on that. But as far as the St. Louis Rams are concerned, I was actually more impressed with this football team watching them lose than I was watching them win in the beginning part of the season. They got behind. Everything seemed to go wrong for them in that first quarter of the game against Tennessee, down 21-0. But Kurt Warner kept his poise, brought his team all the way back, and but for a missed field goal at the end of that game, I think they're going to win it in overtime.
Well, that's true about the offense, but I was even more impressed about the defense. Nobody knew if they could play defense when they were behind. Now the run was being stuffed at them. Well, guess what? The last 3 quarters, guys, they gave up only 3 points and 150 total yards. The defense is for real also.
You know something that the Rams have going for them? They are a healthy football team. And one thing that I found out when I was playing was that when you're winning, it's amazing how you keep the players out of the training room. I was talking to head coach Dick Vermeil, and he says that guys who used to stay out of the game because of twinges or aches, they now want to be in that lineup because they want to keep on this winning team.
Well, they're really happy about the Rams, Nick, but the National Football League is very sad this week because of the passing of former Chicago great running back Walter Payton. You know, we know that Walter was a great football player. We also know he was a great person. We'll have our personal thoughts on Walter Payton later on in this program. But now let's talk about football here. We'll have several of the Rams here to talk about why this team is so hot, including quarterback Kurt Warner. But first, let's begin the highlights in Tennessee, where we find out the Rams are a lot of things, but they are not perfect.
Yeah, baby. We're going to see who's the best today, baby. Titans and Rams. All right, Titanic bomb on them, baby, today.
Hey, listen up! Expect to kick the dog out these today. Let's kick their ass today. Come on, motherfucker. We got to earn respect. Let's lay it down.
When two division leaders meet, talking about respect is an exercise in futility. It's simply something that must be earned.
McNair throws. There's Neal all by himself. Touchdown, Titans. Lorenzo Neal. They get the crowd into it just play.
Get this crowd going now. Come on, defense! Go, D!
Rams quarterback Kurt Warner, playing in the first Titanic matchup of his career, was hit by big game jitters in the first half, fumbling 3 times.
He fumbles. Barrett Wortham has it. 25-20. Barrett Wortham down at the 17. Joe Bounce with the hit. And the Titans are in business at the Rams 17.
Warner's fumbles were costly. Titans quarterback Steve McNair, playing for the first time in 6 weeks after back surgery, helped turn 2 of those turnovers into Tennessee touchdowns. The Titans took a 21-0 lead just 14 minutes into the game.
Back throw. He's in 5. McNair. Touchdown, Titans. You were right. That's too easy.
No, this is too easy. That's the way to go. And we want about 4 more. I think not.
Whoever's tired, let's figure this out, okay? So we can all have some damn gas left, okay? They're going to be throwing the damn thing every play here later on.
The Rams may have looked like they were running on fumes in the first half, but the second half found their offense fueled up and looking more like the team that is averaging 34 points per game this year.
Warner throws in the flat to Falk. 45-50. What a move. 45-40. 35-30. 25-20. 15-10-5. Touchdown.
him.
It's over with. Kurt Warner takes. Drops back. Looking. Throws to Ampli. Great job by Kurt Warner. Well, you play the game right here, man. Games like this.
Down 24-21 with time running out. St. Louis needed to recover an onside kick.
Lorenzo style. Lorenzo style. On the onside kick.
Oh, it's right here, baby. It's right here. Got that freaking heart attack, but it's right here.
The Rams drove to the Titans' 20-yard line, setting up a 38-yard field goal attempt by Jeff Wilkins.
Oh, we're way in his range now.
Trying to get it lined up to kick what would be the game-tying field goal. 15 seconds to play. Wilkins' kick is on the way. It's up. I think he missed it. He missed it. Wide right. He missed it.
We're going to give the game ball to the city of Nashville because the 12th man came out today and helped you guys. And you got to tell them that.
The city of Detroit may have been tricked by the sudden retirement of Barry Sanders, but they got a big treat from Greg Hill, who rushed for 123 yards. In the process, Hill snapped a string of 12 games during which the Buccaneers had not allowed a 100-yard rusher. Cedric Urban's third career touchdown run was the first against Tampa Bay this season. While the Buccaneers' defense floundered, their offense flatlined. In Eric Zier's first start for Tampa Bay, the offense gave away more points than it tallied.
Bubble football. It's picked up at the 20. It will be a Detroit Lion touchdown. Wow, a quarterback sack pops the ball.
The 5-2 Lions will look to keep things going as they face the 6-1 Rams this week. In New Orleans, the inconsistent performance of their blue-collar running back has caused some fans to brown bag it. Despite rushing for 179 yards on 40 carries, Ricky Williams' two key fumbles kept the winless Browns in the game.
Couch play action fake to Abdul-Jabbar. Steps up, looks right sideline, throwing corner of the end zone, and it is caught! Touchdown! Down the right corner of the end zone, Mark Edwards! What a great catch! Edwards was pretty darn good coverage.
With 26 seconds left in the game, the Saints took a 2-point lead on a Doug Bryan field goal, seemingly sealing the Saints' first victory since Week 1. For the second straight week, the Saints would face a Hail Mary, and they could only pray for better results.
Being chased, Couch steps up, heaves one down the near sideline to the right. Looking for Kevin Johnson, ball is tipped, Johnson got it! He got it! He got it! Touchdown Browns! The Browns have won their first game! Unbelievable! Kevin Johnson made the catch on a deflection!
The storied history of the Cleveland Browns was reborn in dramatic fashion as the new Browns got their first win as an expansion team.
We want to thank Jan Douglas for that beautiful rendition of The Entertainer, the song that Scott Joplin made so famous here in St. Louis. A couple entertainers with us right now, Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner. And gentlemen, first of all, congratulations on the great start. I know you lost last week, but you have to be having a lot of fun with what's happening here in St. Louis.
We are. Well, you know, it's been a great start to the season. Unfortunately, we got the loss last week, but the team's just going to keep going. We're having a lot of fun doing what we're doing. We're playing good football, and you know, that was just one loss. We've got a long ways to go, and we're going to win a lot of football games.
Mike Martz was your receivers coach during the heyday of your career before you started having problems with the hamstring injury. He comes back, and all of a sudden now you've got a shot at Jerry Rice's touchdown record as well. What does he mean to you?
Well, you know, Mike's a great guy as far as putting in a game plan, and you know, whatever we practice out here on this field, we're gonna run Sunday, and that's the respect that I have for him. And he's a guy that, you know, he'll call anything. He's always trying to score points. That's his job. He coordinates the offense, and we go out and execute it.
and he does a great job as far as making game plans.
You guys are coming off your first loss of the season in a game in which the first quarter was really a disaster. For you personally, you took 6 sacks in that ball game, a couple of fumbles, they get off to the early lead, but then you come storming back. What did you learn from your first loss?
Well, I just think we learned a lot about the character, and you know, I know a lot of guys would question what I would do in a situation like that, not having seen me play a lot. And you know, I just wanted to come out and show them, hey, you know, there's no give up in me, and there's no give up in this team. You know, we're going to go out there and fight until, you know, the final tick of the clock, and we showed that on Sunday. And I think we found out how good a football team we do have. You know, all the adversity, all the things that went wrong, and we fought back and had a chance to win that football game.
Ike, who would have ever believed that the biggest game in the NFC to date would be the St. Louis Rams against the Detroit Lions, and it's not even Thanksgiving. They only have big games up there on Thanksgiving. This is surprising.
I knew with the personnel that we brought in here in the offseason, I knew that we'd be playing meaningful games in November. You know, not taking anything away from Detroit because they played well, but especially with the loss of Barry Sanders, great running back that he was. They pulled everything together. Their defense is playing well, and their offense is playing well. I know they'll be fired up because of, you know, Greg Hill used to be here, and he can get you really fired up in the locker room, and I know that they're going to come out ready to play us.
Well, guys, certainly congratulations on the great start, and best of luck this week.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Chris.
Lenny, back to you.
Warner and Bruce, those two guys have scared a lot of teams this season, but talk about frightening. How about the Dolphins traveling to Oakland for Halloween?
Frightfully scary for Miami. Good night, Miami.
If you think these folks are in costume just because it's Halloween, think again. Every home game Sunday, fans of the Oakland Raiders come to Network Associates Coliseum dressed as a ghastly cast of goblins and ghouls. Raiders quarterback Rich Gannon came dressed with a cast on his non-throwing hand. Although by the end of the first half, his right hand could have been described as non-throwing too. Gannon completed just one pass and fell beneath Dolphins defensive end Trace Armstrong and Miami's stunting defense.
Trace called out a word. I couldn't make it. But that's when they ran the game on my side. But the tackle was looking towards Trace to see if he had to run the game.
When Gannon had time, the results were even worse.
Pass, he's looking, throws near side, intercepted. Terrell Buckley's got it at the 37-yard line. Going around the right side, now reversing field, coming left. Anywhere to go, Terrell's trying to get around the outside. He's losing yardage. And Terrell Buckley finally goes down at the Miami 49. He lost about almost 20 yards on that return.
With Dan Marino in civvies, his backup Damon Heward started his second straight game. Though he led the Dolphins to 3 Olindo Mare field goals, Miami crossed the goal line only once for the second week in a row.
What's killing me is they're trying to close my split down by closing the gap down. Take him upfield. Take him upfield. Give him that hump and move like that.
Oakland matched Miami sack for sack as each team dropped the quarterback 5 times. Raiders sacks were due in part to Heward's careful handling of the ball, for Heward has quick feet. He can keep plays alive, and versus the Raiders, he created just enough offense to win.
Play action. Here's Damon Heward. Gets away from the rush. Throws to the near side. Flat complete to J.J. He's to the 10. He's to the 5. And he's in. Where does he get in? No, out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Wow. That was blue ribbon work. Here's the handoff to Cecil to the left side. And he is in for the touchdown. Touchdown Miami.
Keep wearing on now. Keep wearing on him.
One Raider almost single-handedly wore out the Dolphins. Though Gannon completed only 7 passes, every one of them went to Tim Brown, the league's leading receiver. Brown's 113 yards kept the Raiders in the game by setting up 3 Michael Husted field goals.
Let's go. I'll win with 600 field goals. I don't care. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. Hey, man, if we're going to win this game, I don't care how many field goals we got to kick.
It'll take a lot when Olindo Mare is the opposing kicker. For the 6th week in a row, Mare kicked at least 3 field goals. He's on pace to make well over 50 field goals this season and is a big reason the Dolphins are in first place. With Mike Holmgren returning to Lambeau Field last Monday night, Brett Favre seemed determined to prove that even without his former mentor, he could continue to be a big play quarterback. But Favre's scoring pass to Corey Bradford was the quarterback's lone bright spot on the night, as he lost 2 fumbles and was intercepted 4 times. The Seahawks totaled 7 takeaways as they created opportunities in every phase of the game.
Out of the Hasselback hole. The snap, it's blocked. It's recovered by the Hawks. Picked up by Sean Springs. 40, 30. Touchdown, Seattle. Sean Springs comes up with the deflected field goal attempt and goes the length of the field and scores.
John Kitna added 2 touchdown passes as Mike Holmgren's new team soundly beat his old one and dealt the Packers only their 2nd loss in their last 35 games at Lambeau Field. Redskins Stadium probably wasn't the best place for a visitor to go trick-or-treating last Sunday. After all, when the Bears came calling, the Redskins slammed the door in their face and kept all the goodies to themselves. Stephen Davis scored on the game's 2nd play from scrimmage and finished with 143 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. However, the most unlikely score on this Halloween day was turned in by a 313-pound monster named Big Daddy.
Looking right this time. Hit, grab, in midair. 95, Dan Wilkinson, 30, 35, 40. High step into the 50. Gerald Green is with him. They're going to chase him. Gerald Green's going to get in the way of the guy. Wilkinson scores a touchdown. Washington Redskins.
Dan Wilkinson's 88-yard rumble left he and Chicago gasping for air, but the relentless Redskins continued to pour it on. Washington's top-rated offense is averaging just under 33 points per game. On Sunday, they easily exceeded that total, building a 45-0 lead early in the 3rd quarter.
Throws it to flat to centers, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Holy cow.
Larry Centers runs right on up the tunnel.
Right up the Martha. Right up the tunnel.
The 5-2 Redskins are now alone atop the NFC East, and while their Maserati offense may have them on the expressway to the playoffs, in Baltimore, the Ravens' kitty car attack has them stuck in traffic. After 2 other quarterbacks failed to get the Ravens out of neutral, Tony Banks was given his first chance behind the wheel last Sunday. Early on, Banks responded by guiding the Ravens to a 10-0 lead, and it appeared Baltimore's defense would make it stand up. The Ravens contained Bills quarterback Doug Flutie most of the day, but ultimately they let him slip through their grasp. Flutie threw 3 interceptions and struggled throughout the afternoon, but with the Bills trailing 10-6 in the final minutes, he made the plays when it mattered most. On 4th and 15, Flutie raced 17 yards to keep the Bills' desperation drive alive. Four plays later, another unlikely Flutie comeback was complete.
Flutie dropping back. Wants to throw. Can't find anybody. Now runs right. Looks. Throws. In the end zone. And it is caught for the touchdown. Caught in there by Jonathan Lynch.
All Flutie, man. All Flutie. He frustrates us all day long. Doesn't make any plays all day long. And then when it counts, he rolls to his right and makes a pass into the end zone.
While the Bills had just enough to beat the Ravens, Wade Phillips and his team will probably need a lot more firepower to stay with the Redskins this Sunday.
Coming up on HBO, Inside the NFL.
Highlights of the Colts throwing off even the best Cowboys in a high-scoring thriller. And we'll chat with a former Colt, Marshall Faulk, who has energized the Rams offense and is the NFL leader in all-purpose yards.
as Inside the NFL's roadshow continues from St. Louis, home of the first-place Rams and the best frozen custard on Route 66.
Mr. Buoniconti Berry. Well, thank you very much. You know, it's great to be the star of HBO's Inside the NFL. First of all, you get a custard named after you, the Buoniconti Berry. Fans here in St. Louis recognize you. Man, I tell you, I'm on top of the world. Eat your heart out, Jerry.
Hey, Nick, you make us jealous driving around in that 57 Thunderbird. But I'm here with the two Cadillacs of the defense, Kevin Carter and Todd Light. Thanks for coming today, guys.
No problem.
Now, here's the story in the whole National Football League. You're always way ahead. So the defense, all you have to do is stop the pass. Nobody knows if you're any good. And then last week, all of a sudden you're behind 21-0. Tell me what the difference in the play was.
We had a lot more people trying to run on us, trying to get it down our throat, trying to grind the clock out, trying to keep our offense off the field, and it was a lot harder to play.
How about in the secondary? They were 7 for 23 in the last 3 quarters. What were you changing back there?
Well, we didn't change anything that we did. The way they attacked us was they kind of dinked and dunked us all the way downfield, threw a lot of checkdowns. They really didn't have to throw the ball upfield. You know, they were never pressured because they had that early lead.
All right, you came in 91 and you were there at 95, and all of a sudden you both were playing the 49ers a lot of times. I've been in this division. I played these 49ers. How did it finally feel to get a payback, give them a little bit of a whip?
It felt great. I mean, I've been with this team for a long time, and I've lost like 17, 18 games in a row against those guys, and they have a great organization, great players, but it was finally good to get that monkey off our back.
Well, you know, everybody in the country for the first 3-4 weeks was talking about the Rams offense, about the passing game. And here the defense playing pretty good. What did you guys think when the game was over?
We have no problem with the offense getting all the credit. Defensively, we know we're pretty sound. You know, if we get to where we want to go in this season, that's the Super Bowl and win the championship, we might just have to tee it up against one another in our practice facility just to see who's the best.
Okay, this week, going to the Silverdome. Tough place to play in Detroit. What about for you again in the passing game? What do you have to do with Detroit?
They're good. Charlie Batch is making a lot of good decisions. They got 2 good wide receivers who like to stretch the defense. It's going to be key for us to eliminate the deep ball, and also the consistency of Johnny Morton on converting third down situations. So we're going to have to contain those 2 guys in order to be successful.
All right, you know you're lining up against Ramirez, a rookie, right offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You seen anything? Can you beat him? Can you outquick him? Is he tougher than you are?
That will remain to be seen. I'm a little biased since you're asking me. I say no. I say I'm a little tougher. I think I'm a little faster. I think I'm a little better.
What about when you're chasing Charlie Batch? What do you see in Charlie Batch?
He's a pretty crafty quarterback. I mean, he likes to move around in the pocket a little bit. It's going to be key for us to get some pressure on him early, let him know that we're there to stay, and then every time he throws the ball, it's going to get hit.
Well, thanks for being with us today, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
And Lenny, back to you.
You know, when you have veterans like Todd Light and Kevin Carter, it sure makes coaching a lot less stressful. But how did Dick Vermeil go from being a poster boy for burnout in 1982 to the 63-year-old genius in 1999? In this week's cover story, Armand Katayan shows us the long journey of the Rams head coach.
Here in California's Napa Valley, the vineyards stretch as far as the eye can see. In this perfect paradise for growing grapes, the secrets behind many of the world's best wines have a more full-bodied meaning to men like Dick Vermeil.
They say it takes time to make a great wine. Well, that's true. It takes people that care about their product, and that's true. And that's the same thing in coaching.
Yes, in wine as in coaching, the difference is in time. Time to find the proper balance. Time to control the roots of your obsessions.
Competing with yourself to see if you can't do it. I've never done anything where I didn't try to do it better the next time I did it. You know, it's just, I guess, how I was raised or just my drive.
Here in the heart of Northern California's wine country, Vermeil was a 4-sport star at nearby Calistoga High School. The son of an auto mechanic, he dreamed of one day racing in the Indy 500, driven by a simple set of principles: humility, compassion, hard work, and more hard work.
I really believe that my father is the one that installed all this working in him. He just grew up that way. He just saw my dad work that way, so, you know, he became the same type of person.
A workaholic who ate and drank football 20 hours a day, Vermeil skyrocketed up the coaching ladder. He led the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl in 1980, before going down in flames 2 years later at the age of 46.
And if I can't do it my way, my standards, I'm not going to do it. One of the reasons I left coaching, a first down was more important than anything, you know, or the failure to make a first down was unbelievable and a terrible event, you know, and a loss was tough for me to get over. And a win that didn't last very long.
He spent the next 15 years analyzing the game for television, longing to return while taking a long, hard look at himself.
Well, there was something empty in me, you know, that the leadership role, the command, the decision-making process, the motivating, the pushing of people to make them better, the detailed preparation, the atmosphere generated by competition.
I think he's learned something about coaching, and he's learned something about himself and just what he can handle. That's why his temperament is a lot different.
It's not a perfect game, and you can, no matter what you do, you can't make it perfect, and you have to accept that, and I can accept that now.
This past Monday, a prime example. In the wake of a crushing loss to Tennessee, Vermeil showed he'd aged like a classic Cabernet.
We will use it as a game to come out being a better team rather than tearing it down, losing confidence. No reason to lose our confidence. We've done too many good things already.
I think he's smarter. I think he has learned how to alter his plans a little bit, but by the same token, still looking for the same end result and being very demanding, very passionate about what he does.
I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm so into it that I show my emotion, and I embarrass myself from time to time. But, you know, I finally learned to say, hey, that's me, and if it's offensive to somebody or embarrasses somebody else, that's their problem, not mine.
So at 63, the Calistoga Kid has come full circle. The hard work and patience all blending into a vintage year for a little old winemaker and his team.
I could see myself back in the Napa Valley. You know, that's where my roots are. I'm producing my own wine right now. We haven't decided yet on the blend, but it's going to be handcrafted, quality bottle of wine. Hopefully, like this handcrafted football team will be.
Bridge, the first arched steel truss bridge anywhere in the world. At the time, people said that's impossible to build, but they got it done, just like Dick Vermeil here in St. Louis. And Jerry, he had to adapt a little bit in order to get things turned around here in St. Louis.
Well, like any good football coach, he made some changes. He made some changes because of new rules. Free agency, you have to treat the players better than you used to, otherwise they'll leave you.
The other thing he did is he listened. They had a big team meeting because the players had some gripes. They asked for shorter practices, he did it. They no longer hit during the week, and they don't have to wear any pads. I wish I did that under Shula.
Well, Dick Vermeil had to adapt just like Jimmy Johnson has had to adapt without Dan Marino down in Miami. Huge game in the AFC this week as the Tennessee Titans travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins.
But I think the toughest job of the whole week in this game is the offensive guards for the Titans. I called up the weight coach, and I asked about Pillar and Olsen. Two big guards, but they're going to get pounded on by Bowens and Gardner, the two best defensive tackles in football. They'll push them back in there, and I think they'll force errors on McNair.
Yeah, but the thing about Steve McNair is that sometimes he's at his best, Nick, in those ad-lib situations.
Yeah, I think Jeff Fisher expects him to make some big plays on a scramble. But one thing that we know is Zach Thomas does not come out in passing situations. If McNair scrambles, he's going to have to pay the price. I think it's one of the big reasons why Miami wins.
But, you know, Damon Huard now has very little pressure on him, and that's because of the play of that offensive line. Mark Dixon, since he's come back from the injury, he's at left guard. It's allowed Kevin Gogan to move over to his natural right guard position. And right now, the Dolphins have it going running the football. With that defense, should be enough.
Miami
I like the Dolphins.
wins.
Absolutely. Well, the Miami Dolphins are winning games even without Dan Marino. But in Denver, it's been a little scary since John Elway retired.
Hard to believe rebuilding could be an issue in Denver, but two championships raised the bar. So last week against the Vikings, the Broncos' blueprint was all about the basics, defense and the ground game.
Derek LaVille broke through the line of scrimmage, goes 36 yards. Orlando Thomas with a missed tackle, and the Broncos' opening drive results in a...
On the ensuing series, Denver's defense got serious.
Trevor Price got Jeff Jordan to the end zone. That should be a safety. It is!
Leading 12-0 after the first quarter, Denver seemed to have found its form. Unfortunately, Brian Griese's development remains a work in progress.
Orlando Thomas at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Vikings!
Orlando Thomas's quick pick for 6 ignited the Vikings' moribund offense.
Looks, Max fires to Carter. It is caught. Carter at the 10, 5, touchdown, Vikings!
Jeff George and Chris Carter would prove a devastating combo. Carter's second touchdown of the game gave the Vikes an 8-point lead in the fourth. Still, the world champs were undaunted and tied the game with just over 5 minutes to play. While comebacks have never been the particular province of Jeff George, catches like those have the air of providence. Still, the Vikings' final drive was less luck than sheer professionalism. And thanks to Carter's sublime skill, Minnesota was in position for the win.
This is for the win. Gary Anderson spotted, booted up, bang! Good! With 1 second remaining.
At 4-4, the Vikings may have righted their ship as they head into this season's second half. Against the Chargers, Gunther Cunningham's toughness continued to fuel the Chiefs' killer instinct.
Time to block. Huh? Time to block. Time to block. Time to block. Yeah. Come back down. Time to block. What? Kill him. One at a time and kill him. Enjoy every minute of it. You, Jacoby, guys like that? That guy? 97? I am not letting him out of here. My kind of football players. Hard, tough men.
It has always been hard and tough to beat the Chiefs, especially at home in Arrowhead. And with a sold-out stadium screaming to avenge an earlier loss in San Diego, Kansas City's defense used turnovers on its first 2 series to turn this matchup into a mismatch.
It's knocked away. It's fumbled, picked up by Kansas City. Touchdown, Reggie Tongue. The 4th time this season the Chiefs has scored a defensive touchdown.
Inspired by its defense and a suddenly confident Elvis Gerback, Kansas City built a 20-0 halftime lead.
That quarterback did it that time, Jimmy. He had no chance. What a hell of a play.
By the second half, it was the Chargers who had no chance.
One back set. Play action. Oh, look at him. Look at deep middle. They got Alexander wide open. Hauls it in over the shoulder. And it's going to be a touchdown. Kansas City, 81-yard touchdown pass. That's what I'm talking about. Like that. Man, the safety and the corner just took off up in there. Now it's like, oh.
Come on, hey, defense, this is a big test here, huh? Let's get them stopped right now.
Faced by Derek Thomas, Kansas City's defense cut off every avenue of escape for the stumbling Chargers.
Get another one. Get another one. Remember, we're going to kill them. Remember, don't forget, kill them.
Quick pattern, knockdown, intercepted, Kansas City, Derek Thomas. It's the first interception in Derek Thomas's career. Closely. Derek Thomas has played 11 seasons in the NFL. That is his first career interception. It took 11 years.
Derek Thomas's interception set up Donnell Bennett's second effort touchdown. And fittingly, the Chiefs defense finalized the 34-0 shutout with a goal line stand.
Yell louder.
This Kansas City defense is relentless. 4th down and goal to go for the Chargers inside the 1. Fumble snap. Kansas City's got the football. Kansas City keeps it set up.
Real proud of you. Real proud. Proud of you too. Rookie coach. You killed him today, right? Killed him. We didn't just win it. We killed him. I mean, you made a statement. We aren't first. Now we got to defend the fort every week. Let's come on in. I'm sorry, Carm.
Excuse me, gentlemen. For those of you not aware, history was made today. After over a decade of play, Derek Thomas got his first interception. The entire defensive front signed the end zone photo of it. We'd like to present it to him right now.
In Indianapolis, Indianapolis Colts fans think they may have the next incarnation of America's team. But there's a considerable difference between wannabe and primetime performer. And Dallas used the first half to prove they're still very dangerous.
25, splits outside at the 30. Here he goes to the 40. Dion's running away to midfield. They block him. Sanders watch out for the punter at the 10. Stiff arms the punter at the 3 and his tackle at the 1.
Deion Sanders' return set up the first of 3 rushing touchdowns, which helped the Cowboys to a 17-3 lead. But the Cowboys' rushing attack was actually bested by the Colts and young Edgerrin James, who spun and sprinted for 113 yards. Still, James needed a little help from his friends.
Manning gives it off to Edgerrin, puts his head down, keeps on driving, still driving. He got close. Did he get in?
He fumbled.
No, he fumbled. He fumbled. Touchdown. They call it a touchdown. The Colts have got 6 on the board.
If that was fortuitous, what followed was flabbergasting.
Come back to within 3, 17-14. Aiken to throw on first down, sets up. Look, he's being hit by Bresky, but then the ball is loose. The Colts are batting it toward the goal line. It is bouncing around, bouncing high in the air. The Colts have got it, rumbling the end zone. Did he get in? I don't know. Chad Bresky is at the goal line. The Colts have the
The Colts converted from the 1, and in the 4th sealed the win.
He's got Marvin wide open. He's got it. Touchdown!
Anointing them America's team may be premature, but with a triumvirate reminiscent of the dynastic Dallas teams, not out of the question.
The Hill, the Italian section here in St. Louis that produced 2 great baseball players, Yogi Berra and Joe Garagiola. Yogi for his baseball ability, Joe for his storytelling. When you talk about storytelling, a story is unfolding here with the Rams. His name is Marshall Faulk. Marshall, nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I looked last week towards the last 2 minutes of the ball game. Ozzie Akeem goes down, and you know you got to spike the football, stop that clock. You go over and just yank him up. He looked like he was hurt, but as soon as you got him up on his feet, he was well in a hurry.
Well, I guess at the time he didn't understand have a sense of urgency, understand what was going on, that we didn't have any timeouts. And sometimes as a player, you don't think about that. You just play. And I was thinking about it, and I decided to help him up, get him on the outside of the ball, and give us a chance to spike the ball.
It seems to me like you're the team leader. It seems like people are really looking to you to lead this team, really, to a Super Bowl.
I don't know if we have just a leader. There's a lot of guys around here that lead at times and stuff like that. Last week, I kind of took it upon myself to try and make something happen and get something going, and it worked that way. It happened.
Talk about that offensive line. To me, that, I think, is the surprise of the St. Louis Rams, especially Orlando Pace. He's making a lot of people eat their words.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a lot of things about Orlando coming in, but once I came in and saw how hard the guy worked, and you can just tell when you're out there on the field with him and in the huddle, he possesses the desire to want to be better and to want to be a champion, and you need that in offensive linemen.
Last week, it was really tough for your team to handle that crowd noise in Tennessee. Your offensive tackle jumped off, Size Miller jumped off a bunch of times. Now you go to the Silverdome, 80,000 screaming people. How are you going to handle that?
I don't know. It's just a situation that we're just going to kind of have to let it play itself out. Hopefully Freddie got enough of it, got it all out of his system down in Tennessee, and we can go out and just play a game and not put ourselves in a hole.
Marshall, it's my understanding that in honor of Walter Payton, you wanted to wear his number for this ball game, but the league wouldn't let you.
Yeah, I thought that, out of my respect that I have for him and the things that he did for the league, and what he meant to the position of running back. I mean, when you think of running backs, you think of Walter Payton, and I wanted to wear the number. I mean, the league, I understand their policies and stuff like that, but I might just pay the fine and wear it anyways.
Number 34 and Walter Payton will always be remembered, and so will Marshall Faulk. Back to you, Lenny.
It's evident after listening to Marshall Faulk that the standard of measuring great running backs in the NFL will be Walter Payton.
And don't you love what Marshall Faulk did?
Absolutely.
That is outstanding. I hope the league doesn't get in his way. But regardless, of which jersey Marshall Faulk has on, I guarantee you the Lions will find him every snap of the ball. He's the key.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is a huge game for both teams and both cities. Who would thunk that right here in the middle of the season, this game would be so important, particularly after the beginning of the season when the Lions were without Barry Sanders and Herman Moore, and the Rams were without their quarterback, Trent Green.
Well, they lost a good quarterback there, but they still have the excellent defensive end, Kevin Carter. And he's going to be playing over the Lions' offensive tackle, Tony Ramirez. I think he can control the game. He's so quick, going to the outside, duck underneath, get all over Charlie Batch. Game's over, Rams win.
You're assuming, though, that the Lions are going to try and
They
throw
are.
the football.
They
No,
are.
they're going to run the ball. Did you see the game last week against
Yes,
Tampa
I
Bay?
did.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in with the #1 ranked rush defense. And Greg Hill runs for 123 yards, almost 8 yards per carry in that game. I guarantee the Lions are going to keep running the football. And with the way that their young linebacker, Chris Clavern's playing on the defensive side, they finally have the balance. I like the Lions.
You're
in this
taking
one.
Detroit?
I am.
Didn't you listen to our guests on the show today?
I tried.
The offensive players, you know, that offense for the Rams, they've scored 27 touchdowns in just 7 games. Last week they went to Tennessee. They learned a lesson on how to handle the crowd noise. They'll be much better this week in Pontiac against the Lions. I like the Rams.
But the Rams don't have their field goal kicker, Jeff Wilkins. Don't forget that.
Didn't I tell you they don't score field goals? They score touchdowns. They go for
tell me
2
that.
points after that. You know, while the Rams were not able to come all the way back last Sunday, the Giants certainly did, and they did it in the city of brotherly love.
Pre-game, Veterans Stadium was grooving to the Monster Mash, but come kickoff, the Giants were leveled in a graveyard smash. And it was Deuce Staley who caught on in a flash, as number 22 was rarely brought down by the first few would-be tacklers.
Deuce Staley has been the man so far. Slips it off again to Staley, who pushes up the middle, flips a tackle. He's at the 15. He gets the block at the 10, at the 5. He's in for the touchdown. Deuce Staley is more magic this afternoon than you will see tonight in Halloween.
It was a magical day as the struggling Eagles offense scored 2 touchdowns in a single quarter.
He's going for small. 25-50, 45-40, at the 30, at the 20, at the 10. Throwing ball for a touchdown.
The Eagles were pumped over their longest play in 5 seasons, but their collective ego was quickly deflated as the bounces and momentum shifted to the Giants. After a LaShawn Johnson touchdown closed the gap to 7, New York recovered a Staley fumble and Kent Graham converted the turnover into the tying score. The game headed to overtime, where Eagles coach Andy Reid watched his team drop another heartbreak.
Back, straight to the pocket, settles, throws, pass batted, and it's intercepted by Strahan. Michael running to the 20. Touchdown, Giants, they win in overtime. And once again, the Giants defense wins them another ball game.
Strahan got up close and personal to thank Giant fans who made the trip to Philadelphia. While in Atlanta, Falcon players got a little too close and personal with their staff before game time. Chris Chandler and Tim Dwight obviously had no problems to iron out as they connected for 2 scores.
Dwight's out there. Dwight makes the catch. Touchdown, Falcons. He was wide open. Chandler just laid it out there.
For only the second time this season, Atlanta racked up over 100 rushing yards, due primarily to the extra effort of Ken Oxendine.
Who is Ken Oxendine?
He's a third-year guy from Virginia Tech, and he's kicking our hiney right now.
Oh, boy.
The Falcons haven't kicked anyone around this year, and on the ensuing kickoff, the Panthers got right back into the game.
Michael Bates avoids the tackle. Still going across the 25 to the 30. Bates out to the 40. He's to the 50. Down the far sideline, 40. Michael still going. With the tackle. Go on. Touchdown, Panthers. Oh, I thought they had him hemmed in on the far sideline, and they didn't.
But with another nosedive imminent, the Falcons' defense stepped up, and it was Steve Berline who suffered the crash landing. The Carolina quarterback was sacked 6 times and was responsible for all 5 of the game's turnovers, 3 through the air and 2 more on the ground. Berline's nightmare afternoon helped the Falcons to their first home win of the season, with Jacksonville next up in Atlanta.
The beautiful Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis, inside the world's largest collection of mosaics. 83,000 square feet of it. It took 20 artists to complete. Only takes one artist to give us inside information. That is Gary Myers. Gary, I saw Vermeil today. He looks anything but burned out. He looks relaxed.
And he's put the enthusiasm back in his players this year, Lenny. He's significantly reduced the amount of hitting that goes on in practice. Last year, there was so much hitting in practice during the week that Todd Light said in the locker room before games, some players were taking a nap. Vermeil says he's giving the players a chance to breathe this year. The night before home games, he's not requiring them to stay in a hotel anymore. The night before road games, he's eliminated the team dinner and giving them a lot more free time. And one real interesting thing he said is that he approached this season knowing that if the Rams didn't win, he would be fired at the end of the year.
I know why he's relaxed. His quarterback, Kurt Warner, is doing a terrific job. I want to know, though, what happens next year when Green is healthy?
Well, the first step is getting Kurt Warner signed because he's an exclusive rights free agent at the end of the season. This week, his agent was in town discussing a new contract with the Rams. As far as what happens next year when Trent Green is healthy, Dick Vermeil says he doesn't even want to think about it, that it's a problem he'll worry about, a good problem to worry about next year. But this really is similar to the situation in Buffalo last year with Doug Flutie and Rob Johnson.
There is a quarterback problem in San Diego by the name of Ryan Leaf.
And the story out of San Diego this week is that Leaf was yelling at general manager Bobby Beathard and two of the strength coaches because he did not want to do an exercise that they wanted him to do for his shoulder, which had surgery in July. Now, I spoke to Beathard, and he said despite all the problems with Leaf, he still wants him on the team and still feels he can be a very good player.
The Ravens go to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Art Modell will not be going to that game, but what's going to be the reception for the team?
Well, the Ravens were concerned enough about people knowing where they were staying that when the players received their itinerary for the weekend, a hotel was not listed on that itinerary. They didn't want the information getting out. In fact, Lenny, when the Ravens in the spring got the schedule and had to make reservations for this weekend, they had to call 5 hotels before they found somebody that would take them. They said it wasn't an anti-Modell sentiment, but hotels were concerned about possible demonstrations outside.
Walter Payton, what's the league and the Bears going to do to pay tribute to him this week?
Well, the Bears on Sunday will unveil a number 34 patch that they'll wear on their jerseys. They're having a public service on Saturday at Soldier Field that they think has a chance of filling up that stadium, 67,000 people. And the league on Sunday, right before the kickoff of every game, will hold a moment of silence for Walter Payton.
Oh, he was a great individual, just 45 years of age. We'll have our thoughts on the all-time leading rusher in a moment, but first, we'll show you the highlights of the last 2 games from Week 8.
27-year-old Bengals fan Jay Gerber hasn't left the stadium since Cincinnati's last home win over a year ago. And with Fred Taylor back in the Jacksonville lineup, Jay's weight promised to go on. Taylor rushed for 126 yards and a touchdown in the first half. And Mark Brunell tossed 2 scoring strikes, also in just 30 minutes of action.
Catch is made, and the tackle is broken, and there goes McCardell into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
James Stewart's 2 short touchdown dives stretched Jacksonville's lead to 38 as the Bengals waved goodbye to yet another season. Expectations were soaring following last year's run to the playoffs. But even in the rarefied Arizona air, the Cardinals' rise into the NFL elite never took off. On the other hand, the New England aerial attack hasn't been grounded all season.
Bledsoe to throw, 4-man rush, cuts it loose, it's caught at the 50-yard line. And there goes Jefferson down the middle of the field. He's going, he scores, 65 yards for the touchdown.
4 of the Patriots' wins have been by 3 points or less. But behind a quintuplet of Drew Bledsoe bombs, New England was finally able to coast to a win.
Cardinals are going to blitz him up the middle. Bledsoe to throw. Bledsoe goes deep. He's got a man wide open. He's got it. He scores. And they've driven a snake into the heart of the Cardinals.
With their 6th win, the Patriots are keeping pace in the NFL's best division.
At the turn of the century, St. Louis had more breweries than any city in the world, over 200. But when you see those beautiful Clydesdales, you think of one brewery, that would be Anheuser-Busch.
I'll tell you one thing, that Clydesdale looked like an all-pro to me, Lenny.
You know who was all-pro last week, Nick, in the pick segment?
No.
That man, Jerry Glanville.
Hail Mary, that's the only reason. season.
But from the season, Nick Bonacani, folks, is still on top.
And Chris is on the bottom.
Oh, a fool could pick those games last
That
week.
is cruel. Early in the show, we picked several games. Now it's time to pick the rest. Dave Brown knows the Meadowlands wins, but we like the Jets to defeat Arizona. Rick Meyer starts for the Jets. Art Modell's Ravens return to Cleveland for the first time. Nick, Jerry, and I like Baltimore. Chris takes the Browns. The Bears have dropped 10 straight games to the Packers. By Sunday night, the Packers will make it 11 straight over Chicago. Cincinnati lost their rookie quarterback, Achilles Smith, for a few weeks. That makes them even worse. We like Mike Holmgren's Seahawks. Denver will win in San Diego. The Chargers will start Jim Harbaugh, who said after last week's game against Kansas City, "I know we look like a bunch of goofs out there." Jacksonville takes their #1 defense in the NFL to Atlanta, where the Jaguars will win. Philadelphia had a crushing loss last week. Nick and I like the Eagles. Chris and Jerry favor the Panthers. Pittsburgh's Cordell Stewart has played much better the last 3 weeks. Nick and Jerry take Pittsburgh. Chris and I will be taking the 49ers. Jerry and I like Tampa Bay to hand the Saints their 7th straight loss, but Nick and Chris disagree. They take Mike Ditka's team. Now for the rest of the games in more detail. We've got Buffalo at Washington. The Redskins are now the highest scoring team in the National Football League. Nick, last week after the owner of the Redskins kicked North Turner in the butt, you said that might be good for them. They won big.
They sure did. Lenny, someone's got to kick Doug Flutie in the butt. Over the last 3 ball games, he has thrown 80 interceptions, only completing 46% of his passes. That's not winning football. I like Washington.
I like Washington because they don't have a quarterback problem, because Brad Johnson, 14 touchdown passes, just 2 interceptions, and they have an outstanding running game. I like the Redskins.
Jerry, another big game as well. This one between the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. A much anticipated matchup between Randy Moss and Deion Sanders. But what's the matter with Deion? He got smoked last week.
Anytime you don't play Deion Sanders on the line of scrimmage in a full press bump and run, he's not as good. That tells me I think he's still injured. I look for Jeff George at a big day Minnesota win.
I think you may be right. Chris Carter, though, came up big for the Vikings a week ago. That gives the Minnesota Vikings that balance on the offensive side. They can no longer focus in on Randy Moss. I like Minnesota, too.
We have a big game in the AFC. Kansas City at Indianapolis. Both teams have won 3 straight games.
And I think that's a checkmate. I think all the Colts defense has to do is stop Van Morris from running that football. That puts Peyton Manning on the field. Maybe the best quarterback playing today. Colts win big.
I like the Colts in this one, too, because of the speed of that team. Marvin Harrison running by Deion Sanders. Edgerrin James able to get to the outside. The Colts win.
Oh, no, they won't. The Chiefs defense will take charge. They're yes. They've scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. They'll do it again against Indianapolis.
Elvis Skurback had a good game last week, but he's got to prove himself against 2 of the best corners, Poole and Burrows. He won't get it done. I like the Colts.
We have a difference of opinion. It's 3 against me. But beginning this week, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday night at 8 p.m. and again at midnight. If you miss any part of it, catch it again Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Those times are Eastern and Pacific. This Saturday, November the 6th, Boxing After Dark returns with heavyweights Hasim Rahman versus Oleg Moskayev. Also that evening, the Holyfield-Lewis preview special, an in-depth look at the upcoming November the 13th rematch between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. Well, that's our business here in St. Louis, but unfortunately, the big story of this week is the passing of Walter Payton. I said earlier in the show that we would give our personal thoughts about Walter.
You know, Lenny, I'm always out there trying to raise money for spinal cord injury. And a couple years ago, I put a call on to Walter Payton in Chicago, and I said, Walter, can you do me a big favor? There's a sales meeting going on in San Diego, and I need a superstar like you to go out there and really get these salesmen pumped up to go out and sell some products so we can raise money. Walter, without even batting an eye, said, no problem, Nick. He jumped on the next flight, went out to San Diego, pepped up these sales guys, and we raised $500,000 because of Walter's efforts. What a super guy.
And you know, that sort of enthusiasm was the same way that he played the game. I'll never forget Forrest Gregg, our head coach, stopping all the meetings and saying, guys, I want you to watch a real football player. He popped in a tape of Walter Payton. Not Walter Payton running the football, Walter Payton blocking. He was one of the most intense competitors I've ever seen.
Well, you know, I was coaching in Chicago 3 years after Walter Payton had retired. And it was a hard-fought game in Chicago, and all of a sudden the fans start throwing flashlight batteries at me. All of a sudden I get a tug on my left shoulder. In Chicago, coaching against Chicago, there's Walter Payton. He says, Coach, as long as I stand next to you, they won't throw any batteries. What a man.
Yes, sir. You know, I never had the opportunity to play against Walter Payton, but I had the opportunity to observe him as a player, and more importantly, I think, as an individual. One word comes to my mind, and that is class. Walter Payton was class on the field and especially off the field. And I know that this week the National Football League will be paying tribute to Walter Payton by lowering the flags to half-mast. We here at HBO Sports would like to pay a very special person our tribute as well.
When you have peace of mind, it means the things that are around you, you don't have any problems, and you look at life differently. You don't have that peace of heart that you've done something for others who've a little less fortunate than you. You're nothing. You're not a man. You're not a woman. You're not a human being.
Not only is my dad an exceptional athlete, he's a role model. He's my biggest role model and best friend. Life is short. It's oh so sweet. There are a lot of people that we meet as we walk through these shallow halls, but the thing that means the most are the friendships that you meet and take along with you.
To the people that really care about me, just continue to pray. And for those who are going to say what they want to say, may God be with you also.
Walter did pass away at approximately noon today at his home with his family there.
Walter was supposed to be a Chicago Bear. And he was the greatest one of all.
I was trying to think of words that mean Walter Payton to me, and the first one that comes to mind is excellence.
Definitely a bright spot wherever darkness appeared. I will always remember his smile.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
From HBO Sports, 2 boxing shows on one special night. First, Holyfield versus Lewis. Take an in-depth look at their controversial first fight before the rematch for the unified heavyweight championship of the world.
Holyfield landed a left hook, and Lewis is stunned. Hard right hand by Lewis.
Get the blow-by-blow as these 2 warriors get ready to go toe-to-toe again.